Hello, my friends. Welcome to the Space Game Junkie Podcast. I, as always, am your co-host, Brian. And joining us, as always, is your co-host, Jim.
I'm so sad. We'll never get another X-Wing game.
Your co-host, Hunter.
Yeah, I'm pretty sad, too.
Uh-oh. And your co-host, Spaz.
Gold 5 reporting in.
Oh. So...
Gold
hey,
5
Hey, Gomer,
every time.
Did you say Gomer Pyle reporting in? Because I thought that's what she said.
No, he said Colt 45 reporting
Oh,
in.
golly! Or what did he say?
like-
Well, surprise, surprise, surprise. Is that what I watch that show all the time as a kid, and I vaguely remember it.
No, but the Lando joke, man. It's like Colt 45 reporting in every time.
They just need to make a Lando movie starring Donald Glover.
They did that. It was called Solo.
Yeah, but
Yes.
I want him to get his own movie, is what I'm saying, because he was the best thing about Solo. I wanted Solo to be entirely about Donald Glover's Lando, because he was amazing. He was utterly amazing.
Yeah, he did. He does kind of need his own movie just to
deserves.
Yeah, because he could go like full Shaft in his own movie.
Oh my god!
It's like,
I want to
like
see how
who's
he
the
got.
baddest mother in the galaxy?
Yeah, I want to see how he got Cloud City. I want to see how he won Cloud City, for example. I want to see all that. Solo's fine, but I want Lando the movie.
Yeah.
That's what I really want. before the droid gets killed, because I love that droid.
You'll get all the nerds out there being like, "Well, read the book. The book was better."
Was there? Wait, the book of what? What book?
There's older books out there. They're all legends now.
Yeah, I read a bunch of them, but I don't remember a Lando one. I do remember the young Han Solo adventures or whatever the hell those were. I remember those.
There's actually 2 Han Solo trilogies back then.
Oh,
I
there were
remember
2 of them.
Star's End.
Yeah.
I only read one of. I think I read one of them. I don't remember the other one. Anyway, folks, we are talking about Star Wars this week, specifically Star Wars Squadrons. The surprise. I don't know about you guys, but I was pretty surprised by the whole, hey, we're making a Starfighter game thing, because it's been a while. Like,
Yeah, my reaction was more like, it's about effing time, EA.
yeah, but like,
It's literally what I think everybody's been like. Hey, remember Rogue Squadron? Remember TIE Fighter?
yeah,
I remember.
because when
Yeah.
was the last one? Was it Jedi Starfighter in like 2003, or was there anything after that?
Those don't count.
Why not? They should
Oh,
count.
dude, if you could shoot lightning in this game,
That's
it would
the
be-
sequel I want. Is the sequel to Jedi Starfighter? Where's my Jedi Starfighter 2?
it was suitably absurd. I'll give it that.
It was wonderfully absurd. When did those GameCube games come out? I think that was before the. Was that the last one? I can't remember.
Yeah,
the
that
last
probably
one.
was like Rogue Squadron 3.
Yeah,
was probably
that might have
it.
been the last one. So it's
Yeah.
been almost two
Which were
decades.
great, except for the like run around on the ground.
Yeah,
sequences, 'cause
I
those-
think I don't care what side of the aisle politically you are. I think any side can agree that those are the worst parts of that game.
That's right, Braben. Don't need to walk around. Stay in the
God.
spaceship.
Yeah, I know, but we're gonna get our
Freaking
legs,
elite.
and hopefully it'll be good. But yeah,
Our space legs that do nothing but space leg.
yeah. Well, hopefully we'll be able to land on more planets and actually use our space legs. But anyway, yeah.
Can I
Last
get
week,
tactical
folks.
flip flops and Star Citizen?
Last week, folks.
Procedural ones, no less.
Procedural flip flops. That's my new band name, Procedural Flip Flops. Last week, folks, we were surprised by the announcement of Star Wars Squadrons, which, if you're listening to this podcast and somehow unaware, is going to be a Starfighter-focused Star Wars game coming out in October. You can already pre-order it, at least on PC,
Like
on Steam, and the Epic Games
You can
Store.
pre-order it. You can pre-order it basically on like everywhere. It's going to be on
Everywhere.
every platform.
Everything. Do we know if there's
Yeah.
cross-play? Like, if you buy it on Epic, can you play it
Yes.
with people on Steam? Do we know that?
It's completely cross-play is what they
Okay,
said.
I could not find that anywhere.
Did they say there's going to be a Switch port?
No.
Because that's
So here's the deal. So like if you play, so the PlayStation and the the PlayStation and the PC get one other bonus feature, which is that you can play the game completely in VR. So they're building complete 100% VR support for these games as well.
Right. Yeah.
Which was pretty rocking, actually, in PSVR, but for one mission, right? In Battlefront 2. Because they put that prologue mission in.
Yeah.
Right. And then everybody that played that was like, oh my God, give me a whole game of this. And
that's basically what's happening.
And now they're doing it. So here's what we know so far, my friends. It's going to have a single player campaign. Apparently, from what I saw, the campaign starts right after the Death Star 1 blows up Alderaan, but mostly takes place after Return of the Jedi. And so between
to clarify that.
Yeah.
To clarify that, that's part of the character creator profile. So the very first mission takes place at the beginning of like that. But everything else, and that's where you make your rebel character and your imperial character, and then from there, it goes to post Death Star 2 explosion, and it's going to be between that and the Battle of Jakku, which the Battle of Jakku takes place approximately a year after Return of the Jedi.
I've never heard of so it'll be Jakku.
I'm sorry.
So it's a fairly limited time frame.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, okay, so Rey was on Jakku, right? And that Star Destroyer that she was exploring at the beginning of the movie, that's because all those ships, like the remnant of the Imperial the remnant of the Imperial fleet got destroyed up in space above that planet. But what's interesting...
technically, the Battle of Jakku is the final battle in which the Empire finally was supposedly defeated. They signed like an armistice or something like that, and so.
But was it the Empire fighting the Empire as well, or was it like a civil war between Empire factions, or was it just...
that's Legends stuff?
Yeah,
they didn't do any of that.
Okay.
Unfortunately, but yeah. So anyway, that's kind of the time period from where the story is. I mean, it is a year of time, but I mean that a year of time in a war scenario, there's tons of skirmishes, tons of story that can be told in there, and you do play as both sides, so you get to see perspectives from both sides of that conflict, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
And honestly, in Battlefront 2, the part of Battlefront 2 that I liked was the space battle stuff. And from what I see of this, it's kind of like they're keeping the looks of that, but the actual control and flight things and the cockpit systems and all the things from the classic X-Wing TIE Fighter games is how it's going to be largely.
Yeah, so the developer is not DICE on this one. It's a different studio. I forget the name of it off the top of my head.
And some of them apparently did work on Battlefront 2, but apparently the lead guy is a big fan of the original X-Wing series, which is gives me a lot of hope. Perfect.
Yeah, we should have got Westman on here to discuss this. Let's get him when the game comes out, and we'll be like, Dave, what's your review?
So that's an interesting take. So they finally did a trailer, which was like, oh, this is cool looking, but everybody, of course, was like, great, a trailer that doesn't tell us much other than this game's coming. What about gameplay?
And they showed us the gameplay trailer. Thankfully,
which they showed us the gameplay trailer, which was cool, but still like, hey, I need a little more, because that there was so much scripted in that gameplay.
Oh my god!
That I was still a little like confused as to what it was I was actually seeing.
I know, and then they took out the targeting reticle for the in cockpit stuff, which just kind of like, why would you do that? Why?
Actually,
why would you do that?
Actually, is there. They had it turned off for the trailer.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm saying it's there. Why'd they turn it off for the video? It's like part of the whole iconography of the Star Wars fighter combat. Why would you remove it, it doesn't really. I don't know. It just bugged me.
They probably did it just to make it more cinematic.
I guess.
Well, probably.
All right, but
that would be my guess, just because of the blending of elements where you're seeing some footage mixed in with the gameplay footage.
Yeah,
and they want to make it look as smooth as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm still a little concerned, because it's like it does look pretty. And look, EA and your studios and all your guys, you guys design beautiful games.
Gorgeous.
They really
Gorgeous.
are.
Yeah.
But I still get a little cautious, because I really need to see the meat and potatoes of what's really going on here. The game is completely in first person, which I applaud, because it keeps the game completely balanced.
I gotta say that's an excellent decision. It's like so many space games give you first and third person. I never use third person, unless I'm forced to. Like, say with Rebel Galaxy Outlaw, there was the third person. I never used it ever. I am almost always first person, unless it's Freelancer or something where it's like that's the view, So
yeah, to be fair, I did use third person in all of the times I have gone through Rebel Galaxy Outlaw's story.
Wow!
But I also needed the extra reaction time. I needed the extra reaction time in order to compensate. On the other hand, if there's a game where you only have the option of first person, like this, where I understand entirely why they're doing it that way. For VR, for a game that's going to be made for VR, a third-person view is not going to make sense.
No.
So, yeah.
So speaking of Rebel Galaxy,
what
the odds that they're going to borrow that chase autopilot on the trigger?
That would be an excellent idea. Be an excellent idea, yeah.
It would, it would be interesting, but I don't know if that would make it like too gamey for the Star Wars diehard fan base.
Well, maybe if you
weird about it.
Well, they said that you can remap everything. They said that, and so I'm thinking that might be an option for those who want it on like the gamepad. But maybe like if you're using a full HOTAS, which apparently the game does support. They've said multiple times it will support a full HOTAS. Maybe you don't use that.
My thing with Rebel Galaxy, though, is like I can play it with a keyboard and mouse. It's all right. I do really well with a gamepad, and I use those assists a lot because I have tried to fly it with a HOTAS, and oh no,
it's not as
way
good.
Too fast.
It
was designed for gamepad.
Yeah.
So
and it was designed with that assist in mind, because if you try to manually shoot and fight the dogfights, good luck, because that game is way fast for So with the X-Wing stuff, it was kind of slow back in the day. So
I'm hoping they keep it that way.
Cool for that. Yeah.
Because they'll need to, if they're going to support both a gamepad and a HOTAS, they'll need to keep it manageable. Like,
what's going to be interesting?
Good.
What's going to be interesting though is sensitivity of controls, because with the gamepad you have like hypersensitive little tiny nub of a stick, and try playing classic TIE Fighter or Free Space with a gamepad and get back to me.
It's not great. It's not great.
This is where I start getting into concerns about the gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
So the first person stuff, fantastic. The fact that it's going to have VR support, again, even more fantastic. The HOTAS support, fantastic. You'll be able to play with a controller, sure, because consoles don't typically have HOTAS support.
So is your concern how to balance all that, like controller players versus HOTAS players, that sort of thing? Is that what you're...
my concern is partially that, but it's more rooted into the fact that there's also going to be these abilities where they talked about how you'll have this, like, you can have an ability that you'll essentially be able to do like the Viper pilot kind of flip on a dime scenario, where you'll be able to, like, as you're flying, turn around and shoot behind you.
Yeah, which they did show in the trailer, by the way.
Right, they show that in the trailer, but how does that work though when you're talking about managing balancing of like engines, weapons, energy, like how does that work when you're balancing all of that?
Well, I think
what
you
I'm
blow
saying?
your boost meter. Like you could use the boost meter for afterburners, or if you build the boost meter up, you can probably do other tricks with it. You know, do you want to side slip? Do you want to do a 180?
It's a little weird. Like they're not fully clear on it. Apparently, if you put all power to engines, it gives you it gives you a boost charge that you can use eventually. And we're not really clear if that works in drift, for example, or if it gives you it apparently does give you some kind of afterburnery thing, apparently. But we don't know much more than that right now.
Well, a lot of it seemed like and he even said in the article that they were inspired a lot by the tabletop miniatures game, where there are pilots that get skills that can do things, and there are maneuvers in there that anybody can do. You know, like side slip and doing Immelmans, doing like a J turn, whatever. So that stuff exists in there, and it's kind of like, okay, yeah, they went with that. That's cool, because otherwise, like the old school X-Wing TIE Fighter stuff, those missions got kind of puzzly, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of hope that this is more skill, less memorization, because, that medical frigate mission, if I can remind you of that.
Oh, come on. You remember on the 1998 Windows 98 versions, they specifically put that on the advertisement as making that mission easier. Like that was a specific selling point is, hey, we've made this mission easier.
Yeah. Where I sit back with my cane and I'm like, you damn kids, I beat that mission on hard on the original floppies. You don't know how good you've got it.
It's like I beat the TIE Fighter minefield clearing mission on my first try, children.
Yeah, and for those who are unfamiliar,
better recognize.
So you have proton torpedoes, and you have to fire proton torpedoes into empty space where you know that the ship is going to be, and then turn around and go the other direction and deal with the other ships that are coming, and let those hopefully accurate proton torpedoes that you just winged into empty space actually take out that ship when it shows up. If you don't do that, you're SOL. So it took a lot of learning.
Yeah. But so with the single player, we don't know much. Apparently, Hera Syndulla and possibly Wedge Antilles are going to be in there somewhere. I mean, that would make sense, right? To have Wedge in there at the very least.
Yeah, they talked about how you're going to run into some familiar characters along the way.
Hera makes sense also. So yeah,
Hera makes a lot of sense because of her role in the overall arching of like the rebellion.
Yeah.
Exactly. We find out a lot about that through Rebels. We know that she was heavily involved even after like the final days of the Empire. So, and she was a really good pilot. So it only makes sense that she's there.
Yeah. So,
yeah. And for that handful of fans out there that are like, can I play as Ahsoka? No. I guarantee
she wasn't really a pilot though. That's not really her.
I know, but it's the vocal minority. It's the Ahsoka contingent.
I just want an Ahsoka game. I want an Ahsoka game. That's really all I want. Is a Ahsoka game. Give me everything.
What
Ahsoka.
about?
That's really all I want.
What about if you could shoot water at people and they could call the game Super Ahsoka?
Oh my God, Super Ahsoka.
God damn it.
Get out of here, Jim. Get out of here.
Son of a... hey, System in Shock. Yeah, there was a flash of someone who looked a lot like Wedge in the trailer. They haven't confirmed that it is Wedge, but dang if it didn't. Dang if it didn't look a lot like him.
There's also a flash of Wedge in episode 9. He was in there all of like 5 seconds congratulating Lando. He's like, "Yeah, good to see you, Lando." Yeah, that was it. He was there. He was in there. He was in there for all of like 3 seconds, just like saying hey to Lando.
Well, hey,
I'm not even kidding.
That's absolutely true.
Oh my God, we haven't seen it yet. We just I don't know.
Well,
I don't know. I don't care. No, I don't care about spoiling that movie. I don't. I usually care very much about spoilers, but that
Palpatine's behind it all. Palpatine's behind it all.
Yeah, isn't it a clone or something? That's
the running joke. Is like Palpatine's behind everything.
Oh really?
Just watch it with the riff tracks. You'll have a fun time.
I'd rather spend my 2 hours doing something else. It's not even the money; it's the time. I just don't want to spend the time.
That's fair. You do have a time crunch with everything else going on.
Yeah, and I just if the wife really wanted to watch it, then we probably would have. But she's even less interested in watching it than I am after The Last Jedi. So it's like, okay, I guess we're not watching this now.
Yeah, if you thought Last Jedi was what, this is more what.
Oh,
not necessarily in a bad way. It's just like you're just like, what? Who?
Oh boy.
When?
So it's great. I think it's great the game is going to have single player. I think that's wonderful. Very happy about that. Very happy.
And I think it's a good thing too, because they made mention that it's to help you get into the multiplayer. So, you play the single player campaign to learn how to play, which I think is great, because few single player game it's like the single player game is the tutorial, and I kind of dig that. I kind of dig the concept of that, and I don't think they're gonna jip on us either. Like, I don't think it's just gonna be like a half-assed single player. The cool thing that I like about it though is people were getting all antsy about the notion of it potentially being like it's just going to be a dogfighting game, 5v5, that's it, and then you're nothing else. But they've got the fleet battle stuff, which I am super excited about.
Yeah, I want to learn more about that. So, folks, apparently right now they're going to be two. Yeah, we don't know. System in Shock has a good question. What's going to keep the single player alive? Interesting point. We'll get to that in a minute. Mission generator, don't know. Mods, don't know. The thing about multiplayer is you can play it entirely with the AI. So you don't have to play it with other people.
The fleet battles, yes. I don't know if the 5v5 you can play with AI, but the fleet battles you can.
I have an image of a tweet somewhere where they confirmed that you can play all the multiplayer stuff with AI. Oh, that's great.
Okay, then fantastic. That's news to me. Last I had heard, it was just the fleet battle stuff. So that's good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a positive thing, because if you don't have that many people to join with you, and you just want to do a short session with just you to get some practice, you're not going to get screwed over because someone has a lot more skill than you do.
My bad. It's specific. I apologize. Wait a second. It specifically mentions the AI in the multi-stage objective-based battle mode. So
which is the fleet battles,
right?
So that's the fleet battle,
right? I'm saying this thing I found does not say anything about the dogfight mode. So sorry, I misspoke.
Which is fine. Honestly, because if you, in my opinion, the dogfight mode would get kind of, if you're into that kind of thing, it would get kind of boring pretty fast if it's just like, just dogfighting battles over and over and over again.
I don't know. Sometimes I play Unreal Tournament just with bots, in matches, just because I don't want to play with actual people. So I could see it working. I would hope that if the fleet battles mode has AI, they would have that option for dogfighting as well. But they don't say that specifically here, so that's why we don't. I'm sorry about that. So that's why we don't know.
But the fleet battle thing is nice because it's objective based, which is something that I absolutely love.
Yeah, so I'm much more keen on that, especially since it's going to be co-op with 4 other people against another team. It's you and 4 other people against the AI, which is cool. So which is also great.
At that point, it becomes PvE.
And we love our comp stomps around here.
Yeah.
Right, we love that around here.
Yes, so that's the most exciting thing.
I just hope that the missions are varied and involved, and it's not, because like in X-Wing Alliance, you could go in and hit like the generate a mission thing, but it was like, defend a space station, attack a Star Destroyer, or a straight up dogfight thing or whatever. It was like, okay. But I do hope that the missions for like co-op stuff is actually like old school campaign missions, like scan that cargo, disable that ship, some complicated things and a story that actually plays out in the missions, not just the generic like random mission generator low effort thing.
I would have, just from what I've seen so far, it seems like it would be that, first you have to take out a bunch of fighters around the capital ship you're trying to attack, or you take out their frigates that are supporting them,
and then
it moves to the next. For that mode,
yeah. So did you guys
it's like a tug of war.
Did you ever play Battlefield Bad Company 2?
Yes.
Or I think they had it in Battlefield 3. They called it rush mode, right?
Yeah.
So there was the normal mode where it was just like run the enemy team out of tickets, kill them, hold the flags, whatever. Well, rush mode was different because there was a specific objective, and the defenders had to keep you from doing the objective. You had to do the objective. And then if you accomplish the objective, the spawn would actually move to the center of the map. And then the next objective, right? So they could push you backwards though. So they would move the spawn back to the original spot if they started beating you. So it was very much the exact same sort of tug of war of like the attackers have to get to the far side of the map by pushing their way over there.
This is slightly different in that the rush mode stuff was a pure attack defense scenario, as where in the one that they're talking about here, it's you both have a fleet and you're both defending and attacking at the same time. So you could go and destroy a couple of their frigates, and then you might get you might get like a fleet wipe, and then they come and destroy one of your frigates, and so now you're down a frigate, but then they have to go and defend their capital ship. So there's a back and forth like in the actual map, which I actually really like.
Yeah, so interesting too. One thing that they could do with this, and God, if it has mod support, oh sweet Jesus! But imagine this:
that'd be nice
if they took Dota or League of Legends type play, right, where each player has their base, and then there's towers along the way, which would be the ships or whatever the other objectives are, right? And then you actually have to, it could spawn like AI fighters and stuff into the mix, but they're not other players, right? But they could basically make a MOBA out of it in space if they wanted. Please, not as the main mode, but as a side thing, that would be, because dude, that's your competitive X-Wing esport right there.
I had an inkling of a feeling they were going to do some kind of like Overwatch MOBA-y thing with this, based on the fact that it is 5v5, and they're starting out with a base amount of ships, right? Which makes sense, right? You start with a base amount of ships that are 4 different ship types on each 4 different ship types, 4 for each side, right? And then from there, I feel like they would slowly introduce new quote unquote heroes.
Yeah. And
they could be in the form of other ships, like the B-wing, for example, or
please,
an assault gunboats and stuff like that.
They said in the article, because they asked like, well, the DLC thing, like what's coming, and the developers were like, we're gonna do the non-traditional traditional thing, where we're going to sell you a game for $40. It is the whole game. And we're not even thinking about DLC or microtransactions or any of that crap. This is just like, boom, there it is, the game. And
then maybe they'll do like the classics, where it's an expansion. You get a new fighter and a bunch of new single player content.
Yeah, and I would be totally.
Or you
down
buy
with
an
that.
expansion later on, where it's not DLC. It's it's you're buying a pack of, say, a new campaign.
Yeah, exactly.
And then that's where the new ships come in, and then you can throw all that in.
Yeah. And if I could suggest to them, like, I and everybody else would pay $20 for a mission editor and the ability to then like swap missions around with people.
So
we would pay this.
Sorry,
we don't want it for free. It's like, just make it, please. We'll give you money.
So change tack a little bit. Here's a good question from Kenubal in the Twitch chat. How are they making the TIE competitive to go head on head with an X-Wing? They really weren't clear on that. I mean, that's
they released, what they did was they released a balance sheet, and there's a balance sheet that shows like, here's the different stats of the different types of ships to kind of make it even. They did show that there are some ships that have certain advantage even in the same class. So like some ships have advantages over others in different categories. So
I didn't see that.
Let me see if I can't dig it up. But the support ship, I think Tenacity in our Discord server posted it a couple days ago. But basically, because he's been super excited about this too. Basically, what it is like there are a few ships. I guess he was noting that the best ship in the game for like all around stats, I think, was the support craft for the Imperial side, but I could be mistaken by that. There's definitely one ship that has like the best all around stats.
The TIE Reaper, apparently, which
yeah. So the TIE Reaper is a design that was designed for Rogue One, along with the
U-Wing.
Along with the U-Wing, but there was another TIE fighter that was very similar in its design, called the it wasn't the Reaper. It was like I don't even think it was like a space fighter. I feel like it was like an atmosphere only like TIE fighter that they designed.
Yeah, it looked very much like that, but it had like it almost had wings instead of solar panels.
It was very similar. It was very similar in design to the Reaper, but it wasn't the Reaper.
Okay.
So if you go here, I'm gonna drop a link in the chat here, guys. If you look at this, I'm gonna drop it right here. That link there.
It was the SKX-1 experimental air superiority.
These will give you a little bit more insight into the ships, their stats. There's even, I believe, that ship right there, Jim. Thank you.
Yeah, it's the SKX-1.
I'm trying to find where all of this information is. It's all out there. It's just crazy, like how they're dispersing it. It doesn't feel like it's all in one location. But anyway, they do put a balance in there, and so there's 4 ship types, but there's 5 people. So you could have like, oh, here it is. I found it. I found the exact image right here. I'm gonna copy this and put it into the chat here, guys. So that link right there. And I don't know, Brian, if you want to, I don't know if you feel like putting that on stream or not, but this is interesting. This is very interesting, this image right here, because it shows side-by-side stats. So like the red stats are the Imperial, the yellow stats are the Rebellion. So if you look at like the TIE Fighter versus the X-Wing, the TIE Fighter has more firepower and more speed, but less toughness, for example. The advanced fighters like the A-Wing and the TIE Interceptor, they show that, again, the TIE Interceptor has more firepower and speed, but less toughness. But it's the U-Wing that kind of steals the day, where the U-Wing has better firepower, speed, and toughness over the Reaper. So then they also show the bombers, which I find kind of funny. So they're doing some interesting things with the bombers, right? So you'll be able to customize your ships, and one of the things you'll be able to do with the customizing your ships with the TIE bomber is you can install a continuous like giant laser beam that comes out of it instead of it being like a bomber, which I found kind of interesting.
Yeah, I put up a picture of the components here on the stream since we're talking about it, and there's all kinds of things like auto aim cannon, guided quad cannon, mimic beam, nimble deflector, ion jet engine, overloaded shield. There's all kinds of like targeting beacons, ion bomb. There's all kinds of stuff here, like seeker mines. There's all kinds of stuff here that you can apparently tweak out with your ship to make it more unique, I guess, which is kind of interesting. And it's kind of funny that one of the pre-order bonus things is like, paint jobs for your I don't know if I'm keen on paint jobs.
The paint jobs really don't bother me. I think what's really fascinating and I think everybody's praising them for, again, like Jim said, this breaking from tradition to go back to tradition, where everything in the game will be unlockable just by playing through the game.
Which is really great.
As you continue to play, you continue to unlock and upgrade things, and I love that, because what it really gives people the chance to actually play these things and like try and progress something. In an age where you can just buy a DLC pack that'll give you everything. And EA is notorious for this, because back in the Battlefield 3 days and Battlefield 4 days, you could just unlock all of the upgrades by, handing EA a little bit of that side money. And it kind of took away for people, like, it's like, you're supposed to be able to like play the tank long enough and you can upgrade the tank, or you could just pay EA $5 and it gives you all the tank upgrades and unlocks.
I wonder how much people are going to bitch that they have to play the game now.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
God damn, it takes 20 hours to unlock the A-Wing.
Well, do you remember when the new Battlefront 2 was being mentioned?
Oh yeah.
People were saying how much time they would have to spend to grind. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was their big debacle, and I think that's why they're doing things the way that they're doing it with this, because Battlefront 2 did not go over well. And even today, it's just I'm sorry. I've got to rip on that for just a second, because the thing about Battlefront 2 that just irks me to no end is the gosh darn card system. Like that card system where you get all of these card unlocks that you grind to get them, and you can build them and customize them. It's just dumb. Like, I don't.
Yeah, but those starfighter powers, right? Like, oh, I want to put the big Dragon Ball beam laser on my TIE bomber. It's like, well, yeah, okay. Is that like a card? It kind of is.
Because no, the components is different. To me, customizing your ship with different component unlocks, you have to balance it out. There's going to be a balancing system to like your configuration.
Okay, so but remember when you went
I kind of find it similar to like how you can customize a fitting on like maybe like an Eve ship, for example.
Yeah, as long as it's not an overpowered, unbalancing ass thing. Because remember, like Battlefield 3. And you're a new player, and you go in, and there's people that have like automatic shotguns with explosive shells and night vision, and you don't. That's kind of discouraging. So,
well, I mean, that's how it is with Battlefront 2. You go in as a new player, and you end up getting that's utterly destroyed by people who have 100+ levels than you,
right? And that's the thing,
they've been playing since the beginning.
And that's the thing that I hate about the card system, because that's a direct contributor, is the card system in Battlefront 2. In the OG Battlefronts, you pick a trooper class, your buddy picks a trooper class on the other side, you're 1-to-1. Like that's
mostly. Yeah, because there were upgrades depending on how you had to earn them. You absolutely had to earn them. Like you get multiple kills with rockets, or multiple vehicle kills with rockets, and then you can unlock the better version of the rocket.
Right.
But you still would have to earn that within the game in order to.
Right. That's within the game mode itself, and that's why I always appreciate that, because it always felt like it wasn't just something that someone started out with, like, here you go. As where in this, I feel like the customization of the ships is all going to be about, and that's the whole point, right? It's the squadron thing, right? Like, you're playing as a team with other people. Like, all right, what mission are we taking? all right, maybe I should fit my TIE fighter like this, or maybe I need to fit my A-wing like this to better do this. Well, is anybody else going to take an A-wing? Because we really need 2 A-wings on this one. All right, you switch from an X-wing to an A-wing, and then put this, and this on it. It's just like there's that whole balancing system that I kind of like. The cards feel so different.
Sorry, if I may interject for a second, going back to an earlier point, I just found an interview on GameSpot where they talk about the TIE Fighter thing. Just to go back to this for a second. Basically, the guy says, the TIE Fighter doesn't have shields, which you don't have shields is the downside, right? But that also means you don't have to manage shields. It's one less thing to manage, so there's a headspace required for that. The counterbalance of what you're losing is what you're gaining in focus. Uh-huh.
Well, that and you have some armor that an X-Wing would rely on shields for and stuff. I think it would be interesting if those big ass solar panels on the sides are much more durable than the main part of the ship. So if you don't give them a head on or a tail on shot, then they're hitting your solar panels and doing a lot less damage. Stuff like that. That would be kind of interesting to me.
That would be cool. I'm sorry.
Make something out of that. But because at that point it would, yeah.
Well, he's got a point though, because even in XVT and X-Wing Alliance in these games where you were like managing your stuff, you definitely gained a lot more speed when you didn't have to manage shields.
Well, if you have the same amount of energy that an X-Wing does, but you don't have shields eating it up, then you can go faster and shoot more because you don't have to burn it up on the shields. But it's also TIE Fighter is kind of like Team Get Good too, because you can't definitely sit still, and just soak damage either. You have got to be a maneuvering pilot. The goal is don't get hit. So, but it's the Empire's tactics though were always like overwhelming force. It's like, oh, I see you have 5 X-Wings. We're going to send 50 TIE Fighters, right? So deal with that.
Yeah, they only sent 30 fighters against the original Death Star. It was a group of 30 fighters to take it out. And how many hundreds did they have on the Death Star?
Right. So how does that work in 5v5? I mean, shouldn't it be 5v10?
Just give them more respawns.
Well, that's going to be interesting because I'm still kind of curious how they're going to utilize these support ships.
Well,
So
if they put warp on a TIE, or if they put hyperspace on a TIE fighter, I'm out. Because
that's canon.
The problem is they already did that in the last era.
I know
the last movie.
That's the joke.
It wasn't supposed to be. I'm still kind of tossed about that.
Well, it's sort of canon, but not all TIE fighters. The mass-produced ones didn't.
Correct.
But remember that transport ship that was in Rebels that carried like TIE fighters under its belly, and it would warp in and just drop TIE fighters, but you didn't need a whole damn Star Destroyer for that. It was just a Star Destroyer transport. It was a bus for TIE fighter.
Yeah. It was like a ship transport thing. I think the Rebels actually stole one of those at one point, but the support ship. So hold on, going back to the hyperspace thing, I do want to talk about this because one of the developers talked about this, right? So there's not going to be any new technology in this that shouldn't exist. So in other words, like if we've seen stuff that ships do, say in episodes 7 through 9, that doesn't exist yet in this game because it wasn't invented yet. Is what he's talking about. So there might be some new things that we are going to see because it's post Return of the Jedi or it's post like what we're used to seeing. So we might see some new things like bombers with big fat laser beams that can go on them because it's close to the end of the war. Both sides are trying to do whatever they can to do new things to try and they can't just keep doing the same things over and over. So they talk about there's going to be some slight new things to it. But like TIE fighters with hyperdrives wouldn't necessarily exist yet because they were only for, I think TIE fighters with hyperdrives were like very specific TIE fighters for like elites, or something like that. But the average the generic TIE fighter didn't have that. So it's like, you remember the TIE fighter from Mandalorian that had the wings that folded down, stuff like that? That, for example, that doesn't exist yet. That,
right.
So
it shouldn't exist even in the Mandalorian. But yes.
Yeah. But anyway.
Dude, cool. Mandalorian gets a pass because they had that troop transport toy that I had.
I was just thinking about that. Yeah.
So back to the support ships though. I'm really curious to see what they're gonna be like, the meta for those and utilizing them, because apparently you can use them for healing with. Apparently you can use them for like grappling targets, like objectives, like if it's a ship that you're supposed to capture. Apparently you can use them too for like weapon resupply. So I'm a little curious to see what the meta for that's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, they have a thing like that in the free space games where there's a support ship that can dock with you and resupply your missiles and repair subsystems to a point. You can't repair your armor or anything. So I'm very interested to see how the support ships work.
I would guess it would be along the lines of repairing, replenishing your, say, if you've got a bomber out there, your support ship is going to be the one to fly up to you and then replenish your ion torpedoes or ion bombs, depending on what you're carrying.
Yeah, that could be interesting. The thing that they didn't do, what they didn't do here, and they could have done, is if they'd went with like the D&D style thing, like, okay, you got your tank ship, you got your healer ship, you have your wizard ship, right? Because it's like you have a glass cannon, a damage soaker, a healing thing, and a stealthy scout ship, right?
That's where I feel like this might be going with the whole MOBA Overwatch style 5v5,
where you can have a stealth ship with different stats. You can have a stealth ship if you want. You change your armor; it's all stealthy, but not very good. I mean, you can. It sounds like you can go in that. But
direction. They don't force the ships into roles. Like, okay, your X-wing, the Y-wing is the tank, right? Because it can just suck up damage, and then the utility ship is your healer. It'd be like playing Team Fortress, right? The utility ship just flies around hosing you down with a heal.
But they kind of do. If you want to use Team Fortress 2 as an example, you've got your TIE Interceptor and your A-Wing. That's your scout. Then you've got your TIE Fighter and your X-Wing, right? That's your trooper essentially. Then you've got your bombers. That's the heavy, and then you've got your support guys. That's the medic. Like, that's straight up what we're looking at here, and then you can customize that in various different ways. That's why I'm saying, like, this feels very much like a space MOBA Overwatch style game, which I'm not opposed to.
I'm super into, actually.
Right? Yes, that's why I'm actually kind of curious.
Well,
but
yeah, if it's
these
done
are
well,
four. Remember, these are. These are four ships, though.
It'll be like
There's
Dota.
5 players.
It'll be like Dota. There'll be 3 Death Star trenches, right? So it's like, I'm going up the middle.
No, but there's 4 ships here per side, but there's 5 players, so you're gonna see, you might have a couple of scouts, you might have a couple of heavies, you might have so there's gonna be variations on the thing. I'm kind of curious to see if there's a limit. Like, could you have 3 people in interceptors, a person and a bomb, or 2 people in bombers? Or could you have
all 5 A-wings? Like, is there a reason that they would stop you from doing that?
Yeah.
Like,
what
is it kind of like mech? Is like Mech Warrior, where you have a tonnage thing that you can only have so many tons on the field? You know what I mean? That's where I was curious.
I wonder. It almost would kind of work as like a kill streak bonus thing, like Call of Duty does in Battlefield 2. How like you pick up the random drop and I get to play as the Millennium Falcon for like 30 seconds or something.
Oh God, it would be interesting. I hope they don't do that.
No, that was only in the first one.
Yeah.
In the second one, in the second Battlefront 2, what they let you do is that you collect points as you end up killing enemies and pushing objectives, and then you spend those in order to use a hero unit or a a mid-tier unit for a while, until you get killed off, and then you can pick another character at that point.
Good, because that like pick up a random token laying on the ground that lets you spawn the Millennium Falcon was dumb.
And this is where, again, this is where I'm having problems with those, like the remakes of these games, where they are sure as heck pretty. They do have some interesting gameplay, but the level of interaction with the game, with the player, is just so surface level. It's all flash and no substance. Where I understand that they're developing a game as a service platform, like fine, whatever. I don't like it, but whatever. But this is coming from a player base that had so much more before it, where it's just like, hey, look, there's a speeder over there. I'm gonna go get it. Just like, I don't have to find a token. Like, where's the spawn token for the TIE fighter that I can go fly around for a little bit, and then because the controls are all wanky, I just crash. So
yeah.
Well, to their credit, they did fix that in 2.
I need to play 2 some more, because honestly, the space stuff was not offensive. It was I didn't like how the control of the ships worked, because the ships turned really slow. And it was just kind of like, it's tough having a dogfight because you maneuver really slow even when you're playing with a mouse. It's like, but they had to make it like very limited turn stuff because of the gamepad thing. And then, we're looking at like limitations of control schemes again. But because they did that, it was kind of like, once you had somebody on your case, it was really hard to get rid of them, because it's like, I really can't outturn this guy and his friend. I'm just dead. So it became a game of spawn, get a couple kills, and then you're dead. There was nobody that was like super skillful pilot that was just untouchable because they could fly the pants off of it.
The first couple of Battlefront games were like that, where with the new Battlefront 2, again, to its credit, they made it so that you didn't necessarily have to get the points just by making kills. So if you weren't necessarily great at dogfighting, you could go bomber and then push the objective, attack their frigates, because that's objective based, and you could attack other targets like the various satellites with turrets on them. You could attack those too and still get points.
You're making me reinstall this trash, right?
Well, it's not. The ground game is not my thing. I have to say that right now. But at the same time, they did some things well.
Right. Yeah. It's like Star Trek. I want to play in the spaceship. I never want to see the surface of the planet.
Yeah, Star Trek on. Yeah. So the interesting thing about Battlefront 2, and again, like Spez says, I'll give them two things. The campaign's not half bad. The story is interesting. I do like the characters that they introduce in it. There's moments where you get to play as other characters from Days of Old. Like there's a Luke Skywalker level, but I swear up and down every time I've played that level, I'm just like, man, I want a new like Jedi Academy. Like that's what that game just like reminds me of, because it's like or that level reminds me of that game. And then the space stuff in multiplayer was like Jim said, it wasn't offensive, but it did struggle to continue to hold my continued interest. So I'll give it those two things. It's kind of like, it's interesting that Battlefront 2 is kind of like Star Trek Online. It's just like, don't play the ground stuff. Just like,
yeah, I find the ground stuff in it to be disappointing, just because going in as a newer player, while the player base had already been well established, I would end up on PS4 playing it there. I would end up getting killed by people with 700 levels regularly. And it's like, how do you catch up? You can't.
Side note, that's kind of one thing I like about Titanfall 2 is that those people are killing you because they've been playing a lot, not because they leveled up or something. I even though I die a lot in that game, I'm fine with it.
So we should just mention this. Titanfall 2 is now on Steam. If you haven't played it, you should. It's a great game.
Origin.
And
just FYI, it still uses Origin.
It does, but it has revived the game a little bit because there have been more people playing it now.
Thousands of players apparently. There were over 11,000 last night. Apparently, someone told me. So yeah,
okay. Well, it's time to reinstall that too.
Yeah, I reinstalled it. I'm going through the single player campaign right now.
I wonder if Battlefront 2 has actually picked up a player population again now that
I don't know.
No,
so
even better.
So Battlefront 2
has Battlefront 1. Because Battlefront 1, you can log in there.
Yeah, Battlefront 2, I believe it was last month, just had its last content patch. And they're still there. I think they did maybe one patch since then, which was just some hot fixes, but it's had its last content patch. And they did make some things better, from what I understand. So it's not a bad time to drop back in, at least for the space side of things.
Yeah. Are you talking about Battlefront 1 or Battlefront 2?
2.
Okay. Yeah.
Another thing is that it also has a co-op mode, the Horde mode that's in it, and that is actually pretty fun because that is PvE.
Ewok mode.
It's actually that one's fun too. I got to admit.
That's worth the $5 right there.
Yeah. Why did they keep taking that thing back out all the time? I was so mad.
Yeah, we reinstalled 100 gigs to play the damn Ewok hunt, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we put that on vacation for a while."
It's seasonal, and we're like, God.
To be fair, you can still play on Kashyyyk. There's Kashyyyk, and then there's Endor, and you can play on the ground as an Ewok. You just have to get some points in order to unlock the mid-tier characters for the match, and then you can actually play as an Ewok, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, but I mean the Ewok mode that is like
I know what you mean.
Freaking DayZ, right? It's like Ewoks instead of zombies
at night
coming in the dark. Yeah, dude, that's so amazing to me.
Sounds incredible.
It's just like cuddly little teddy bears.
It's horde mode out of the. It's horde mode with murder bears.
It's scary because it's nighttime and you're walking around in the woods at night, and you just hear and you're just like, what the hell?
Oh no! And this is
murder bears.
And this is Battlefront.
Just a reminder, they were going to eat them before C-3PO showed up.
Yeah.
So there is that.
Oh god, that's true. So this is Battlefront 2. The one that I've been told I should buy.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
If it goes on deep enough sale, I'll buy it.
You can get the same experience in Australia, I hear, from the drop bears.
Oh no! Don't do that, Jim. That's so dumb. Oh god.
Did you see that?
I did. I saw that video. Oh, they scared that poor woman. Oh my god.
They're telling her about the Australian drop bears, right? And they'll drop.
They're like
they're
the cousin to the koala, is what they were trying to convince this lady of. And they're like, we have one here. Just like if you want to hold them, you can. It's just like you got to be very careful. And they're being all serious with her, and they're like, you have to put on all this special gear. So they made her put on all this ridiculous shit just to
Yeah, it's like, here's a chainmail vest. All right, now here's a drop bear, and the guy just gingerly hands it to her like he's afraid, right?
It's just a koala.
It's just a fucking koala.
They made up an animal just to mess with this lady.
She's like, you bastards. Well, no, the drop bear thing has been a meme for years. But they burn her down with it. Oh god, it was funny.
So we should start wrapping up. It's been an hour. So I guess to summarize is, I think what we're all saying, if I may be so bold, is we're excited about what we've heard, but we still have concerns.
It's 2020. I'm not getting overly hype about anything at this point.
It's not a bad
we don't know if we'll make it into next year.
There's no reason. There's no reason to pre-order for skins.
No,
they're not.
No, don't pre-order.
So because
don't pre-order.
I still need to see actual an actual human
Yeah, I would
playing
like to see
the game,
a session, like a real session,
and let's
like
see. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, show me a fleet battle session. That's really all I need. Don't show me the single player. Don't spoil any of that. Just show me a fleet battle session where I can get an idea of how fluid the objectives are across the map. Is it going to be the same thing every time? Is it going to, like, that's what I'm a little worried about. Like, how will this stay fresh after a while? Like, are they going to add new maps? So, I mean, what are they going to do? So, there are a lot of concerns here. A lot of concerns.
You know, who I think has the highest concerns right now is actually Mr. Westman himself, because they were kind of making this game. And
yeah, I saw so many developers on Twitter after they announced this going, "Oh no, what about my game? I'm ruined." And like, no, you're not.
Like, no, make it anyway.
No, keep making it.
You can never have too many.
Because we got In the Black, which is probably going to be great, and it's got a meta layer and a business. It's got like a business layer where you go out and do missions and you make money. I mean, it sounds like on paper at least. I've not played it really, but it sounds like on paper at least has more than this going for it.
Well, we have. I'll tell you this: the map that we were screwing around on. Imagine playing TIE Fighter, but it's Descent, because you're in a pretty fast starfighter, but you're in tunnels. And it was like, oh well, the walls are a thing.
I dig it. I like the sound of that. So yeah, if you're a space game developer and this worries you, don't let it worry you. There's so much room for good cockpit fighter sims that we clearly don't have enough. I mean, we need more. So yeah, if you're making, like, if you're the developer of like a thing like Hypergate or Rebel Galaxy Outlaw or something, and you see this and you're like, oh no, I shouldn't make it now. No, you should. You totally should.
But if your name is Chris Roberts, do not look at any of the features in this game. You do not need any of these features.
Oh no!
Don't be a feature creep.
Don't be a so that's gonna do it for this episode, folks. Tomorrow we're not streaming to Twitch. People are doing a blackout of Twitch to protest how poorly they've been handling a lot of situations recently. I didn't even know about this until recently.
It's been a while.
I think you should probably move to Mixer instead. Just ditch Twitch.
No. No.
It's time. It's time.
Even when I was multi-streaming, no one ever watched me on Mixer or Facebook. So it's like,
that's because you didn't get $30 million to be there. $30 million, people come see you. Do you know how to floss?
No. So we're going to be streaming to Discord tomorrow. We're probably going to be... Spaz, how close would you say I am to finishing Mass Effect 3?
You can finish it within the session.
Oh, good. Okay, so we're going to...
I'll tell you what, Brian.
Hopefully finish Mass Effect 3 tomorrow. What?
$100 donation from me to the charity of your choice. No matter how offensive to me it may be. If you go on webcam and floss.
I don't even know.
And you have to do it right, which means you have to learn how to floss. So, and then you get my $100.
So if I go on camera and use one of my little flossers to floss my teeth, that wouldn't. You're talking about
okay. Oral hygiene is not in question here. This is booty shake. Twerking doesn't count either.
No, I don't know. I don't think anyone wants to see that.
Although there might be another $100 in there for that if you do. So
no, I don't think anyone wants to see that. Ken, I'm not
$500 if you wear a woo thong when you do.
So, folks, next week on the show, the big Steam summer sale should be in progress. So what we're going to do is we're going to scour the sale and try and find you the best bang for your buck in terms of space games and, games that we love that we would think you should buy. But we're going to try and find the best space games you should buy on the big summer sale next week. So that's going to be our show.
And if you can, if it's 3030 Death War, no matter the price, you're just going to buy it if you don't have it already.
Yeah, that's right. Pretty fair.
That's absolutely right.
Fair. That's pretty fair. Yeah. So
if you're listening to this show, if you have listened to the show at all, and you don't own 3030 Death War, you will want to pick it up because it is that good a game.
It is. We gave it Game of the Decade for the teens. It's that good. So yeah, if you're listening to the show and you don't own it yet, get it on the sale. Even if it's not on sale, get it anyway. But
we'll give it Game of the Century.
Yeah. Oh my God, I wonder.
Hey, Brian.
But yeah,
try. Do try. We should reach out to the developer of Squadrons, the guy that did the interview on Polygon.
Yeah.
See if we can get him on.
Okay.
Hey man, we've had some pretty like AAA studios on here before.
I guess it doesn't hurt to ask. It doesn't hurt to ask, even though we probably won't hear a damn thing.
I mean, if we if we got the Eve Valkyrie guys on here,
they were pretty awesome. I will admit they were. I really wish their game had done better because they were a great bunch of folks.
Yeah.
You know,
despite what happened to their game, it was a really good time.
We had the Dread Pirate Roberts. Come on.
So yeah, folks, we'll see you back here next week to talk about the Steam sale, and we'll see you on Discord, not Twitch, Discord tomorrow at 6 a.m. to hopefully finish up Mass Effect 3. Thank you for listening, and as always, a special thank you to those who donate via Twitch and Patreon or merch store or whatever else. You guys are the best, and with that, we'll see you back here tomorrow. Have a great one, y'all. Bye-bye.